Oh, I really like that song. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Me! Ta-da! Here I am. We can all take the leap now, right? Yeah. So this year we are talking about taking the leap. And the reason why we selected that theme is because a story that I heard that I love telling, I've told it a couple of times now, but a lady was talking about a tree that was planted in her honor. And the tree, the person who planted the tree in her honor told her that the tree is not going to grow right away. Because the first year, it's going to sleep. And the second year, it's just going to creep. And the third year, it's going to leap. And this center, we're entering our third year of weekly services. So we're like a toddler center, right? But this is our year to leap. This is our year to really look inside and find those areas that we've been resisting, find the areas we've been seeking to expand and to really jump into a new level. I like to think of quantum physics. Quantum physics is a really awesome thing to study because it's proving all the things that people in this philosophy have been learning for many, many years. But now we have a science to back what we've been talking about. And the really interesting thing about electrons is electrons, when they get kind of warmed up and excited, right? Something starts happening and they move to, they usually are surrounding an atom, right? They're going around an atom. And when they move to the next level, like a higher level, they literally move without time and space. They move from one level to the next level, but nothing in between. They have a quantum leap. They jump right to the next level. And this, so they disappear out of reality and then reappear into reality at the next level. And so I introduce the idea to you because I want you to think that it's possible for you to literally take the leap to the next level without having to effort and push and shove and make it possible, because there's something happening in the universe. There's something mysterious that's bigger than all of us that can make it possible for you to literally leap to the next level. So this month we're talking about relationships, taking the leap into loving relationships. Last week we talked about service, so serving your community, serving the world, sharing your gifts. But this week we're talking about relationships, which of course is appropriate for February because we have Valentine's Day in February. And in Science of Mind, we believe that we show up at different levels, right? So we have the metaphysical level that we show up. And this is the level of oneness, metaphysical, beyond the physical. When we're beyond the physical, we're one. But then we have the physical aspect of ourselves. And that's where we appear as individuated expressions of the one. And so we have this kind of conflict in our life. We have a conflict of, I feel like I'm an individual, and yet I also feel connected to everything. Or we feel very individual and we forget that we're connected to all that is. And so exploring relationships as a spiritual practice is our opportunity to see the oneness in each and every person that we're relating with. As unique individuals, we create relationships primarily through 3 different languages. We have our words, our tone of voice, and our body language or our facial expressions. So there's 3 different languages that are happening right now as you're listening to me. So I'm going to do a little experiment with you. I want you to do everything that I say, okay? I know. All right. I'd like you to wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your fingers. Okay? I'd like you to stretch your arms. I'd like you to roll your shoulders. Yeah, yeah, this feels good. This is very good. See? Okay, now shake your body, shake your body. Shake your body. Okay. Yeah, whoo, wake up, wake up. Okay, now don't raise your arm. Don't raise your arm. Good, you guys did really well. Now, raise your arm. There was some hesitation. Don't raise your arm. Okay, raise your arm. Don't raise your arm. Raise your arm. Well, the interesting thing about this is that body language and facial expressions are 55% of what we communicate with. 38% is tone of voice, and only 7% is words. So we have much more, we have 93% of our communication is not the literal words that we're saying. 93% of our communication. Now, we can see how there can be so much miscommunication going on. A lot of it is, how are we presenting ourselves? Are we like this? Are we like this? We have a different impression. We make judgments. We make ideas up about what that person is really saying according to what their body is saying, right? Instead of what their words are saying, we listen to what their body is saying more of the time. That number came from Albert Mahabrian. He was an author of Silent Messages, and so he realized, he did a lot of studies, and he realized a lot of our communication is nonverbal, a lot of it. So when our words, our tone of voice, and our body language, our facial expressions are not in alignment, people believe our body language and our facial expressions first before anything else. We might think we're being impeccable with our words, but our body language and our facial expressions or our tone of voice might be saying something different. You know, I like you. What do you believe, right? An interesting example of this is in 1960, the Nixon-Kennedy presidential debates were the first year that they were televised. Interestingly enough, they believed that Nixon won the debates for the people who were listening to it on the radio because of what he said. However, the people who saw it on TV had a different impression because Nixon was sweating profusely. He was dressed like a used car salesman, and he was looking like kind of like he was trying to trick people in his body language. Now, Kennedy he had his nonverbal language was in alignment with his words. And so people believed that he was being authentic with what he was saying. So those who watched the televised version went for Kennedy, and those who were listening to the radio version went for Nixon. And later, Nixon became called Tricky Dick because of those specific debates that people saw online. But authenticity and alignment with who we are, how we speak, and what we do is the basis for establishing and maintaining trust. And trust is really the thing that we're based off of. Now I invite you to see if you can be in integrity. Integrity. Try and think about truth. Truth is forming your words to match your experience, right? But integrity is forming the experience to match the words. Can you be in integrity with what you are saying? When you are committing to a friend or a family member, I'll be there at this time. To be in integrity, you get to be there at that time. Or you get to call them and say, I'm not going to be in integrity. I need to clean this up. And I need to make sure what I speak and what I do are in alignment. So I invite you to think about, how can you be in integrity in the world? Because whenever you're in integrity with yourself and your actions, then you start recognizing the divinity in others. You're honoring each and every person that you come in contact with. We picked this month to speak about relationships, and I picked a book of the month, How to Be an Adult in Relationships, because I just like the title of the book. I started reading it, though. It's actually a good book. It's a very good book, and it's the 5 keys to mindful loving. And so we're going to explore one key each week of this month. One key each week of this month. And some of the questions that the book offers at the beginning, that the suggestion is that you can have the answer for if you read the book, is, what will it take me to find the happiness I always wanted? Or will I ever dare to love with all my heart? These kinds of questions are questions that we seek everywhere. A lot of us are afraid to love because we've been hurt. And so why do we pick relationship this month as a spiritual practice? Reverend Dennis Merritt Jones said, "From a spiritual perspective, we have come here to have relationships. Relationships are the vessels in which we travel toward a common destination, which is a greater realization of unconditional love. Every relationship you have is yet another opportunity to do God's work, to become the vessel through which love flows freely from God to God." And so if you take each relationship that you have, and that can be your relationship with your spiritual center, it can be your relationship with your friends, it can be your relationship with your partner. But if we're taking this on, we're taking it on fully. I'm not just going to take this on for my relationship with my partner. I'm going to take this on for my relationship with everybody I come in contact with, because this is an opportunity for me to be God and to see God and to serve God in all ways that I can. And when I do that, I find that life is so much more fulfilling, and I find happiness wherever I go. I had a example of how much I'm not doing this in the world a couple of years ago. Yes, I'm human. Oh my God. Hallelujah. I used to work at Stanford Stanford University, and we had this cafe in my building at the Alumni Center. And I would go in and I would get like a breakfast or a coffee or something. And there was, the lady who was serving us, and she was really nice. And I'd say hi every day, and I'd be nice every day to her, and she'd be nice every day to me. And then one day I had my mentor, Reverend Dr. David. He came to have lunch with me at my work at Stanford. And we went over to the cafe, and he says, "Oh, hi, how are you? What's your name?" Oh, it's Joanne. "Oh, where are you from? It looks like it's spelled Joan." And she says, "Oh, I'm from the Caribbean. That's why it's pronounced Joanne." And he says, "Oh, really? Well, do you have family here? What's going on?" And he really got into her whole life. And she felt heard and listened to. And I thought, I've been working here for 2 years, and I've never found this out about this woman. I go to her every day and I say hello, and it's just surface. I didn't recognize her. I didn't see her for who she was. So it was really a wake-up call for me. How much am I really seeing people around me? How much am I really appreciating those? Am I giving them the attention that they deserve? And I think about that if I'm walking up and I'm going to a checkout line and my phone rings. Do I answer my phone and check out, or do I let it go to voicemail and pay attention to the person who's in front of me? Call them by their name. Acknowledge them for who they are and how they're serving me. Because each and every person is serving, even if it's their job, they're there to serve me and honor me. If it's a checker, the bagger, the person who's making a sandwich, it doesn't matter. They're honoring me. They're doing this because of their service to me and to the world. And so they deserve to be seen. So I invite you to think, are you doing that where you are? Do you see the checker at the check stand? Do you call them by name? David Rico, who wrote this book, said, "We are born with the capacity to dance together, but not with the necessary training. We have to learn the dance steps and practice until we move with ease and grace. It's the same with relationships. A lot of us were not taught how to be in a relationship. We weren't taught this. Most parents were not given the guidebook on how to be a parent. And most people were not given the guidebook on how to be in relationships. And so we have to come to places to realize that we recognize the divinity in each and every person that we meet. And they are honored and valued and important just as much as we are. And so Rico has 5 A's. 5 A's that he suggests that we do for everybody that we meet. The first A is attention. The second A is appreciation. The third A is acceptance. The fourth is affection. And the fifth is allowing. And Rico says attention means the consciousness of the interconnected of all things. So being attentive means honoring the divinity in others. We're often distracted. We don't say conscious and fully present whenever we're in front of somebody. You know you're doing this when somebody starts talking to you and you've already created the response in your mind to them without them finishing. That means that you stopped thinking and giving your full attention to that person and you started creating something else on the side. And so giving your full attention to somebody means being present with them. And when they stop speaking, then thinking about what your response is. And I know that we're not taught to do this. We want to jump in. We want to, oh my God, I want you to know about me. I want you to see me. But really, relationships are about serving the other person. All relationships are about uplifting the person who's in front of you. Now, if you're uplifting the person who's in front of you and they're not uplifting you, we know where the problem is, right? But if we all decide to uplift each other, what a beautiful world this would be. What a great experience this would be. So we're going to do a very quick little exercise. I want you to find somebody that you don't know real quick. Get into a dyad. I know, exercise. Decide who is good. So look at somebody, get a connection, find your person. Okay, all right. Now what you're going to do for 2 minutes, one person is going to say, I am the love of God, so what I know about me is. I am the love of God, so what I know about me is. And for 2 minutes, you're going to do that, and then we're going to switch. And the other person is going to say, I am the love of God, so what I know about me is. And you're going to share. Okay, you ready? Yes. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, now switch people. The other person is going to now say, I am the love of God. Then you keep flipping back and forth. You're going to find out so much more about that person. I am the love of God, so what I know about me is. And keep saying, I am the love of God, and then find something new. So what I know about me is. So what did you discover out of that exercise? Anybody?
2 minutes starts out seeming like a long time, but then once you get rolling, you run out of time.
Yeah, once you get rolling, in 2 minutes, you're like, oh, no, that's not enough. Deanna, you were saying something?
You wanted to know what the experience was?
Yeah.
How much you have in common with somebody you didn't even know.
Oh, that's beautiful. How much you have in common. Yeah, thank you. Christy?
How beautiful it is to sit and honor somebody, to listen completely and then to be heard.
To listen completely and be heard completely, yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's really what this is about. To listen completely and be honored and heard completely. And the invitation is for you to practice that in your everyday life. Can you take it on this week? Yes. Are you willing to? Yes. Even with somebody you didn't know. Oh my goodness. How lovely was that? How beautiful was that? So this opportunity is an opportunity of spiritual expansion, a spiritual growth. And we think sometimes that it's got to be big and profound and huge, but really it's the little things in life where we get to expand and grow in our spirituality. It's the everyday that makes our life worth living and helps other people be uplifted in our world. Isn't that what we're here to do? We're here to share our gifts, to uplift people, and to really enjoy the beauty of life that God has created for us. We are here to be spiritual expressions of the divine. And when you are truly in alignment with that, you see everybody for the truth that they are. You see the light. You look into their eyes, and you see the glory and the beauty and the wonder and the awe that life is. And so I challenge you this week to take that on. I challenge you to see with new eyes, see with the eyes of divinity, see with the eyes of love, and see and feel and listen to each and every person wholly, because that's what we all deserve. Let's pray.